Ah, what a find it is. Hello everyone and welcome back to Wildwater Bay, our growing megacity made by Abstergo Industries. How very good of you to join once again after the very exciting last episode that we had. That is finally transferring fusion energy to Earth. And yeah, that is gonna change a few things. So let's continue right away. Having basically endless energy available now. Well, it's not endless, of course. It's very expensive actually to get this type of energy in, but still it's a lot. We can afford now to finally reducing then the amount of tidal power stations that we have to solve our growing water concerns. So one thing, well, we solve, the other one comes up. Water it is, so we would like to get rid of this one here for now, to use that one here with the water now. There you go. And to also use that one here with the water now. And with that, 2 more coastal slots have been, well, used. As a matter of fact, we continue onwards with those 2 here as well. And I think that's actually almost all of them that we have now. And it looks like this is a lot of water. Well, basically it's not, right? So we will need to find new ways of getting even more water into Wildwater Bay at some point. The other thing we can do now is also using the coastal sites that we have still on this island here for more algae production, and with that also more replicator production that we also need on the moon. Pushing this one requires a lot of space once again. Space is something that we have on this island for now, but we are also running out of it at some point. We still have lots of algae, so I would like to, yeah, try and squeeze in another one here. Should be possible, right? There you go, that was quite nice. And also pushing then the replicator factories themselves. So with that we have a surplus of 60 again. Scaling up the industry is basically one of the most important things at this point. So you need to have the space, you need to have the resources to plop down all these modules that we need. And also for, yeah, productions that need several steps now before you can finish them. This also leads once again to my luxury food that we have now over here. And also, once again, another military mission. Hooray! Using more mountain sites is also one of the problems that we have, as we are running out of them. For a bit more silicon, we are squeezing everything. This also leads me to having yet another nano textile mill that we can finalize right over here. Oh, wait a second. This one still has modules. With the growing industry, well, of course, we can upgrade our city again. That is pretty much the ultimate goal right now. For this also we need once again more service buildings. One thing though, we cannot scale up that much further anymore in Wildwater Bay, and that is food and vitamins. Now food is running low now, and vitamin rings are already pretty red. So those are the things that we need to also solve at some point. For information, also just single buildings do not cut it anymore. We need to have like information blocks like this one here, so we can kind of like squeeze them together. We could even have a massive block consisting of 4 of them, right? Looking away from each other. I think this will also look quite okay, as this one counts for the whole city. What's getting more important now are these modules, really, especially for the workforce in my smaller islands, so that we are still able to operate mass industries without having to build massive cities all the time. Unfortunately, we do not have something like a commute pier in Anno 2205. If you add the full capacity of the drone racks, like these here, for example, there we have the drones working for the fields. Actually, what you can do is you can minimize the workforce from 140 to only 1. And that means that you can basically work these for free. And that is the goal. Unfortunately, this costs a lot of construction materials that we still also need to get in somehow. And once again, we can then also go ahead and, yeah, push our production to the next level, our population. That is here with some bigger blocks, perhaps like this. Now while we're here, we could also now work on some of those ornaments. That is, for example, with the big parks in these corners and courtyards that we have. 18,000 for one of them. That's something we can afford at this point. Of course, the big central park here is still something that we should tackle, and I would like to do this now. We have a couple of options. Unfortunately, these are all the ornaments that I have right now, so in that case we can only go ahead and make a bunch of them on either side. So for example, that we have the bus stops. I would like to start integrating them right away. Probably not along the main road right away, but somewhere here on the side road, right? This one. And then we could go ahead and have it on the other side as well, over there. Makes sense to me to have also a bike station close to the bus stop, where people can also park their bikes and whatnot. And right in front of it, we have then some parking slots where you can access these areas. Yeah, something like that I would like to have in the center, a big reserve, where people can also enjoy just some greenery. And it's probably gonna be the central area. And this central area is then also surrounded by bigger leisure activity gardens that we can have on both sides. And holy cow, that is expensive. That whole park probably cost me $500,000. And I think it's quite okay. So you have the leisure activities right next to the streets, together with the stops. And oh, that's actually an arcade center. Trials Fusion can be played here. In the future, they're still playing the same game. Incredible. And then as you go deeper into the park, you have then a more dense forest area. Not entirely sure. We don't have any parks, unfortunately, that I could use for this. Would be lovely. But who knows? Perhaps something else is coming and we can then just add it here as well. We continue with the upgrading, especially here, close to the town center. You can have a lot of upgrades happening. I think close to the docks, we haven't even done it yet, so that's also something here. And then probably also here. And with the latest expansion of the city with the new districts, we are really finally running into a water problem that I cannot solve anymore on this map. At least if I'm not getting rid of any other coastal sites like this one here. So what we need to do now, I can, of course, produce more water somewhere else. I can also start a new transfer route now from the space station, the international market, and we pay, for example, 80 credits for 1 water, and I can go up all the way to 500. This would then actually lead to 42,000 on the cost side, so that is really expensive, but it would give me another 500 water. Of course, we can ramp this one up over time. For now, I would like to start with probably, let's just see, let's make it another 30. I can always adjust this trade route, and I never really want to pay too much for it. So 4,000 we are paying with that now, which is a lot, by the way, right? So water is going to be really expensive down the road. It's at this point that we also need more electricity, be it because of more production on the moon or on Earth, and each one of them costs me 400,000 to provide an additional 2,000 electricity. Building another one provides me 4,000 electricity with 700,000. So I think for now what I'm actually gonna do, I'm just gonna build me a whole bunch of a different one. Oh, wait a second, no, not relocation. I want to build it, but we cannot actually build it. Okay, there you go. We actually needed more electricity in order to build this one here. In this case here, we have now 2 of them. That's another 4,000 electricity again that we get out of that. However, oh, actually, no, it's fine. Fusion power cells, that we have them 3. Now, there's something else. We're producing bioenhancers and fusion power cells on the moon in quite some higher capacity here. So what we can do is we can sell some surplus sometimes I should say. 100 of them, for example, would bring me in almost 300,000, right? And we do have 180 available. So let's do this and get some quick money in. It's even better for the bioenhancers, as we do have over 100 in stock, and 370,000 we get out of that. And look at that even here, the oxygen. That sounds very reasonable, so we can sell them for a bunch to get more money in. We need this money then for new industries and of course sectors. Back on Earth, we have updated a lot of industry. This makes it possible now to increase the density of my inner city, which is one of the most profitable things that you can do. There you go. That's a whole bunch of additional executives moving in. And I just hope that they're paying their dear taxes. Also leveling up once again. You can also see how quickly we're about to reach the next level. There you go. Now we might actually reach 40 and then we would be a surprise success company. That would be interesting. I think we would need to upgrade a bunch more. We're actually running low on biopolymer, so let's just purchase 100. As with that, we can just upgrade more quickly. And oh yeah, we could also upgrade them to investors right away. We probably would not like to do this right away though. Let's go for these guys here. And this reaches level 40, finally. 3 million on the bank account and a nice balance. And of course, it's even more fun when we can upgrade to investors. Let's do it for these guys here. Now, finally, after upgrading and having enough money again, what Abstergo Industries can do now is finally expanding to a new district. And boy, we need that. And that is Vidian Coves of my next one. That's actually a map that you can only unlock with the DLC Frontiers. And it's also one of the biggest maps in this game when it comes to buildable space. And yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting one because we are going to also build up a massive city over here that is then really supplying Wildwater Bay as a whole. So this one did cost me quite a bit, but it's gonna be worth it.
Big place. We'll see if it's big enough for ambitions like yours. One of my colleagues already has high hopes for the area. I'm sure he will ask you to join in his latest prestige project.
And yeah, we can just see how massive this one is. It's actually the map where I originally built my megacity, right, a couple of years ago, because it is so massive. And it's a pretty nice one, right? But it has a massive river in the center, dividing your city basically. Yeah, that's not super ideal, but it was actually a really nice one. This time around, though, it's still going to have a massive city, but it's also just going to be there for production. Look at all the farmable space that we have over there. That's going to be super nice. We're claiming it. Also interesting about this one, it only has one docks area, right? So this is the only area that you can claim. And now we're expanding with bridges to the other sides then as well that are going to be quite expensive. Speaking about expensive, yeah, that's my construction materials. So we still have the construction material going. No, we don't have that going anymore. So we can now actually start with that again. That is the biopolymers going to Vidian Coves, and that's also the robots, right? They're the ones, the 40 going over there to Vidian Coves, so that we really start with the construction materials. And just to be safe, you know what, I'm also gonna get some, yeah, I'm also gonna readjust this trade route here a bit and get the super alloys over as well, right? So we can also do that to Vidian Coves. Even though we're not gonna need super alloys that quickly, it's still nice to get them in here somehow. Now we're gonna start right away with getting that road over, and I'm actually not gonna build anything here. We're rather just gonna expand that bridge right away to the other side where we're gonna build that city that we need. In the meantime, what we can do here is I would like to, since we're gonna need a lot of construction, I would really like to focus on what's important right away, and that's the construction material production, of course. So we're gonna have the robots here, and we're gonna have also the energy coming out of a tidal power plant right over there. We could, of course, get the fusion power over, but it's not super necessary right now. Right now, for me, what's important here is the construction for the robots. And with that, we're also gonna need a warehouse then right over there. We can start with a building material production. Yeah, it's a tiny one. You don't need to have that much of it going, right? So those fields are going to be fine. Wait a second, is there a coastal plant? There is. It was actually not visible. There you go, right? And then we can also have our biopolymer production right next to this one here with, I think, also another module then that we can attach to this one. Yeah, workforce is needed. That's exactly what's coming in soon. And that was rather quick, and we can already finish that bridge right over there into that massive size that we have over here. And I'm just gonna push it probably like so, connecting it then with the bridge that we have. And this one continues then all the way up to the north. I think, can we build this one? Yeah, we can queue it in already, right? So that's gonna take some 15 minutes. It's okay. And in the meantime, though, we can already start with our city production or city construction. So that's probably gonna be my go-to city here, right? This space. And yeah, just for the sake of it, let's build it. Alrighty, and here we are. We have a functional city now with a bit of workforce, and yeah, we're also getting in the food and the water already. Though, of course, as we can see, once again, yeah, the problems remain the same. That is my water, that is my food, and my electricity. Sometimes logistics even, but yeah, that's out of the question. There you go. Another warehouse as well. Now with that city, I'm waiting now for that bridge to finish and also for getting a few more building materials in. Then we can already upgrade. And there you go. Upgrading that bridge unlocks us now the real farmable area then. So all the way here, this is all gonna be massive farmland for the mega city. And also, let's go ahead and just upgrade some juicy buildings here to the next level. So this is now the city that will provide then the workforce for all that farming. And perhaps even high-tech, depends on how good education in the city is. So that we can sustain that. Lots of buildable building materials now coming in, thanks to no longer using them on bridges. And yeah, with that, we have already the food farming starting here. You really want to use every space available, so this can be one of those blocks, right? What we also will need here is a lot of vitamin drink production. So that's one of the major things. I might even consider using then my beef farming here, honestly. For the investors, we primarily need stuff that needs minerals, right? So that's mountainsides. It's not a lot of agriculture that investors need anymore. The executives basically have it with the flax, with the beef and stuff like that. So this is consuming the most space that I can think of. The rest is really just mountainsides and also electricity, of course, like this tidal power station. Since we are getting a lot of water in with the trade routes, I'm totally happy with using the coastal sites here for power, right? So that's my primary source of it. So that we can specialize this really into a power hub for tidal power as well. And yeah, what we can already start is the vitamin production then. This is really important as Wildwater Bay also has a deficit of over 100 vitamin drinks right now. So this looks like a very nice spot for this. What we definitely will need though is some warehouses here close by. They don't have a road. There's the road. There you go. And yeah, let's get cracking. And yeah, this is kind of like the foundation, and from here we can continue now. Bear in mind that we also need those drones, of course, because every farm needs 140 workforce. With the drones, it's just one, right? And in order to save me some workforce there, we need to use these drone hubs for sure. This tiny hub here is already producing us 600 fruits, so that is gonna last us for a while. But of course, we also need the food processing industry, and that would be then over here. And for this, once again, we will also need to have some warehouses then. They consume a lot of logistics, right? And then you can have these fruit plantations right over here. And once again, with these guys here, we want to use, of course, the maximum amount of modules. So this is also not so easy to actually manage out because I think it's uneven. No, it's even. Very nice. And then we have these drone hubs as well. So each one of them looks like this. That one squeezed in looks like this. And that would be a full block then as well of these guys here. And we can then basically copy this. I would really love a whole copy function of a whole block, right? But unfortunately, that's not possible. And yeah, there you go. 380 vitamin drinks. Let's just check out the world map and get us those vitamin drinks over to Wildwater Bay. And once again, this is also going to last us for quite some time. Though, of course, the trade routes also cost me now something, quite a bit that is. Let's keep a bit of a buffer there once again that we can develop in Viridian Coves. Gonna be a question how many of these fields here we're gonna need. So we could say, let's have a look and just try to get this one all the way here, right? So that this is my fruit farming area now that we have and that we can still continue to develop. Next on the list would be the wine production. For this, we have that building here available. Once again, we might be running out of logistics rather quickly. And then, of course, we just go ahead and plaster this one full with it. Unfortunately, this is just made so that there is one tile left over all the time. But if you use, for example, a warehouse in between, you can actually make a nice block out of that. Once again, this requires a lot of workforce, and once again, we will need to have these drone hubs. And the cool thing is you can actually then just squeeze them in here at the end of it, like so. And this is now a full block for wine production. Regarding beef, it's also going to get a bit complicated over here, but only because of this massive amount of space that you need. So in this case here, we can really plaster all of this here full now with beef farms. And then we have also the respective soy farms right over there. They're actually rather space efficient, or yeah, they have a minimal footprint here to produce a higher quantity of that. Yeah, without having to wait for too long, we have now several trade routes going from Viridian Coves into Wildwater Bay, where we can then use the workforce that we have over there to finalize the production, like luxury food, for example. And with all of that out of the way, we can now make another push here in my city center for the next investors. And don't forget, of course, now that we have the foundation for the mass production of the lower tiers, it's easy to just expand on them. So I'm not going to show that anymore.
New level of success reached.
Don't forget, if we want to continue upgrading, we actually need these type of buildings several times, right? So I cannot just mass upgrade everyone to investors. So that's basically also something that Anno usually does, that it forces you to have an organic looking city more or less. So you can't have all of this here plastered with investors, right? You need to have all the lower tier types there as well to some extent. So this is going to be the challenge here, to spread this out optimally across the landscape here, and only then can we actually also upgrade some people to investors again. Still, population is moving in to the next level, and we should also be bridging 200,000 right now. And there you go, 200,000. Okay, it's also time now to start entering the stock market, and the stock market opens up the trading floor for us, where we can then finally trade shares. Let's join it. Has irreversible effects on this corporation, and a backup will be created. There you go. That also means now that the other AI opponents can take over our company, right? So it's important that we also continue now using my financial power to purchase shares from the other ones. And there we have all the other competitors now, Ibarra Fox, for example. And the cool thing is, if I purchase shares, we're actually getting influence into them. We can also take them over at some point, and we do get bonuses out of that. So in this case here, she, for example, has the bonus here for the electronics. So everything electronics related in my industry actually gives me a boost out of that one then here down the road as well. We can also see here a prognosis of where that company is going right now. So for example, this guy here, Uzoyev, he's actually going down. So he's losing, he's having a bad time right now, and his share values are dropping because of that. So I could speculate on purchasing his shares, right? And then speculate that he's going up again at some point. We can also help out with that later on. But for now, let's actually go ahead and also initiate an auction here with influence. And yeah, there we have it now. Influence, that's my corporation. Influence, we're getting this one every hour that is generating. And we can use this to, buy us into one of them. And now an auction has started. It's going to take some time here now. They're kicking it in. We can use influence to dominate the auction, to to influence it directly, right? For example, to say that no one is doing anything anymore. Or that we also get a final cut of 15% into this year. So let's just see where it's going. We got 9 millions now. That's because, of course, my shares are not publicly available, and we do get that money in from that. And oh yeah, they really want this, right? Let's also push in 3.3 million. I did not honestly expect such a price on this, right? So that was a really high price, but with that we got the first share of Uzoyev, and right now we're not really benefiting from this share, right? But I'm speculating that we got a nice price on that for the future. We can also have an overview over what each one of the sectors is doing. For electronics, for example, we are getting all the drones in, the storage depots boost and stuff like that. For the heavy industry, we have all the mining, for example, that is being affected by that. Biotech, we have all the production that has something to do with algae production or Android factories, and so on. Last but not least, we can also do some espionage in this menu now, and that means that we can hire insiders into these companies, like Leisheng, for example, which I think, based on my number, seems to be the biggest competitor right now. So we can purchase another insider, right, for another 10 influence, and we can use this power then to, for example, make her weaker. We can have an hacker attack on her. We can have a product recall, and this would hurt her directly so that her shares would go down in value. Right now I want to use my influence though to continue purchasing shares. That's one of the most important things right now. So Lei Shang, she's really valuable right now, of course, because her credit balance is just so good. So let's do a risky move here and enable this auction, right? And now it's gonna go down, and competitors are less likely to place high bids. Let's also use this influence bonus right away, so that there is a good chance that this is not gonna be the highest price, even though, of course, I should probably not say it out loud. And look at that, that's a really low value right now.
Satisfactory.
There you go. That was a super nice bargain, honestly, right? This also gives me 7,000 on the share value right away, and we get a 3% influence on energy market. So this was a really nice one, honestly, right? It was a bargain that was way low below Uzoyev, for example. And we're profiting from that, of course. So as we can see with Uzoyev, we have now 3% on the biotech benefits, and with Leishang we have 3% on the energy benefits, right? So energy would be then here my whole energy production. So we should be able to see this right away on the energy balance on the moon, for example. Yes, but we do have now 1,000 more electricity available. I think it was 500 electricity more that we can now transfer over, for example, to Wildwater Bay. So things are getting really crazy difficult or crazy complex as well with all of the stock market, right? And yeah, we just initiated auctions. The competitors can do this as well. And if it's our auction, then our shares, we need to hold on to that. So I need to keep some money there now available at all times as well. One thing that was unlocked with this though is the stock market grants additional promotion rights depending on the number of residences in the surrounding area. So this is also really important. As we know now, right? These here, you cannot upgrade endlessly, but if I have a stock market close by, we can actually influence this one in addition, and I would like to do this. And let's just get us a nice location on this one, on the stock market. So I think it makes sense to have this one somewhere here close to the center, of course. And honestly, I would really like to have it here in the city center. I don't really need that information center there, so let's just move this away. And what we're also gonna have is I'm gonna move this one away to create another information block, and then I'm just gonna move my investors over into this area. Right, and with that we have a bit of space available now that I can use. I think we still need to get rid of that area though. Yeah, it's not gonna be that easy. And having this space now available, I can then finally push in my stock markets. Let's just do this. I think we need to turn it and get it another nice entrance here. It's a really cool building, especially if you zoom in like this. And it's a public stock market now. And as far as I know, we can have several of them now, right? But of course not within the same radius. So we should really do this to maximize our upgrading potentials then, right? To really maximize the amount of executives we can have, the amount of investors we can have. And with another push in upgrades, we should be. I still don't have enough biopolymers. That's incredible. But I really want to go ahead and upgrade this whole area now. And with that, we also have now this whole central area surrounded by investors. And with that, we are also closing in onto 50 corporation level, which is going to unlock me a whole bunch of things again. We have another world market route then, and especially we are a mid-size business.
Corporation label adapted to reflect.
I love the next one, Dark Horse. And with that latest push of investors, we have also unlocked the next service building, now a public building. That's a stadium for the investors. So funnily enough, they want to go to soccer matches. And in this case, we need to provide. And the thing is, the entertainment supply demand is already at 30 now, right? And each one of them provides me 10. So we will really need to build 3 stadiums just to get this going. So I think one we're going to have right here by my subway station. By the fields, right? So property value is rather cheap here. We can actually squeeze in a bunch more of these smaller houses than here. And then have the road going all the way down, right? Just here where we are then at the end of my city really. Where people living close to nature. As close as nature can be. And yeah, with that, we got the first stadium. It's a beautiful building once again, very detailed. Has its own little plaza area, so you don't really need to provide this on top of it. And there's even a mighty airship close to this as well, showing you the weather of today. Funny enough, every stadium we build is pushing my population quite hard because we fulfill this service demand, right? So that's something to consider. However, a stadium costs me 500 electricity at this point. So yeah, things are getting more expensive. We're gonna need more fusion power again soon. Let's build me one more. We could probably have one here by the ocean. That would look lovely, I think. Somewhere here. Doesn't really matter where it is. Holy cow, the deficit has only grown. It's crazy stuff, how many of those you need. Might actually also be worth it to have then a metro station close by, because you also have a demand for this, obviously. And yeah, people, of course, go there by public transportation, usually. Now, I was talking about the expansion of fusion power. Not only that, but I also would like to start on replicators, my next production chain for the investors, one of the more complex ones. And in this case here, we do need a surplus of rare earth metals or rare earth elements. We do have the mining already going on here. By the way, since we have plenty of resources, I might consider also adding me some drones now to the moon as well. Especially since, yeah, workforce here is also rather tight as it stands. So finding the more workforce intensive industries could be beneficial for us, right? Like this one here, for example. Definitely want to add that. We need another mountainside as well to get the rare earth elements going. I'm gonna have this one all the way out here. Is this shielded? No, it's not. So I will also need to provide one. Let's go with a smaller one. And then have us another mine going here. Right, and we definitely also will need to work on more fusion power. So that's these guys here with the modules. And yeah, I think we can go ahead now and afford these modules, right? So if I have 2 more, that's another 4,000 electricity. Those are providing now, right? Yeah, actually we could go for this one too and this one too, right? Why not? There you go, having this one full. This is a lot of workforce though, so I will also need to get me my drones going to automate my fusion power. That's 8,000 electricity. Hooray! Rare earth elements are also working here now. So I think that's it for the moon already again. And now we start a transfer route of rare earth elements going from the moon to Wildwater Bay. 41 it is. I'm also going to push more electricity up to 14,000 now that we get over to Wildwater Bay. And with this out of the way, we can theoretically now start with the next production chain. However, we need more space. And this is where my food industry comes in, that we are now having in the Vidian Coves. And I can finally get rid of those farms here, right? Of course, we suffer from that when it comes to food, but we can have more food in Vidian Coves. And I'm gonna need this new block here for my next industry. And of course, actually, I would also need to get rid of this. So let's do it right away. This will of course cost me because we are now running out of fruits. Very nice. Cleaned it up and got the production back in here. Now with that out of the way, we can now work on this. The replicators is something that needs a lot of power and a lot of very valuable materials. And one of them is the diamond mine. And for this, we once again need to consume a mountainside with that one here. So, oops, it's gonna be one of the last mountainsides I think that we have. So we will need to get the diamonds in from somewhere else then as well along the way. Let's just expand this one too right away. Once again, a lovely looking industry. And the diamond mine now works and produces 30 diamonds. That's actually quite a lot, right, when we consider all things. And we do need 53 replicators at this point for my industry now, over my population. And the next one is now the rare earth elements and the diamonds. And look at the consumption here. We need 5 diamonds and 1 rare earth element to make this work. So this is quite a big ratio here that we have. And let's have it all the way up here right away to start producing us those diamonds. Of course, we're not gonna need the actually, we could make it like so. We're not gonna need the workforce modules here. What actually would make sense for this type of industry now? Holy cow, how long can we push this one? Right? This needs 2,000 energy, right? And 12,000 on the maintenance. We're producing with that now a whopping 54 multi-specs prisons. So that will be enough, of course, for a while. But yeah, in this case here, that is a very, very expensive industry. And what we can do here is we can use now the accumulator unit. I haven't used this one yet because it's only worth it for the high cost industry, and that's this one here. And this is reducing now the energy consumption by 200 per module, right? And you definitely want to have them here. So with that, at least 1,000 electricity less, and this is going to add up then, right, with all the buildings that we're going to need. Alright, so this is the nano cutting unit, and next is now the replicators, the neutronium lab. I just love these buildings and names. They, however, also consume microchips, right? And microchips is something that we need. It needs silicon, and we are producing the microchips. Where was it again? There they are, right? And the microchips only need the silicon, so we have plenty of that. So I can use this area here to continue with that. But look at that, where once the limiting factor was the farming and the space, now we have huge complexes of industry, right? And this also will be problematic for us in the future. So we gotta be careful there with how many we build. 29 we get out of that. So now we have everything ready for this last production. Oh, in Wildwater Bay we have a landslide. All mountainsides are shut down due to dangers of landslide. Are you kidding me? Achieve victory in the Quantities conflict zone to get rid of that. That's interesting, I guess. Now, the replicator needs 2 microchips and 6 multi-spec prisms, which is a lot. So one of them is producing 6, right? And let's just check this one out, this factory. I'm not going to build it yet because it's way too expensive for that. We're not producing any diamonds. So let's finish that conflict zone. Here we are at the climate stabilizers. So this is the problematic thing that we have. Let's also spawn us my support fleets here to quickly dispose these, I don't know what it is, blockades or something like that. Another problem though comes up because my competitors used my distraction here to purchase a company share, right? So we lost one to Uzoyev, right? So he actually purchased my share now. And with every share that we lose, we actually lose the benefit of the share, which is right now 4,000 credit balance. So that's actually quite dangerous, right? Next time we need to watch this a bit more closely, because otherwise we are losing balance and also influence. So we'll need to purchase back some shares here soon. But of course, also important, let's do this mission here. And it's a really tricky one. It's pretty difficult this time around. Look at that, there's another auction on one of my shares. That's crazy. What we can do is we can use my influence to stop the auction immediately. But this cost me 15 influence. So it's gonna be pretty tricky to use this all the time. We're on the heavy damage here, by the way. What is going on? This mission is way harder than I'm used to. Let's get my fleet down here and immediately destroy whatever we still have left here. There you go. But that was a pretty hard mission this time around. We at least also get, of course, experience points and rare materials that we also gonna need.
You do good work. You do good work.
I would like to use my influence to purchase back my share here. So we're gonna start with that. And I'm also gonna say once again, competitors less likely to place higher bids. Right. There you go. Got our share back again with that, the 4,000 again for 2 million. Let's go back to our water bay. And here we can now finalize our production of the replicators. Gonna have them... Yeah, I would probably like to have this one over here. So we can have our replicator production. Then, actually, let's have it here, right? And that's the module stand that we have. I think we can actually... No. And this leads to another massive boost in population and in income, of course. Let's just see how many we need, really, right? So we got the replicators. I will need to have a second factory for sure. Gonna have this one right here as well. And they're super expensive. Like, they're costing me 3,500 on the maintenance.
Warning. Unfulfilled demand for specific consumer products.
So I will still need to have some multi-specs prisms here. So one of them here. In addition, to make sure that we have the right amount. Oh, and something is wrong with my rare earth elements. We should actually have 30. So this is coming in. Another auction. This is one where you are actually getting a burden. But of course you can also purchase influence with that. But we're not doing this, right? My balance is a bit strained right now. With the replicators in, we're really pushing to the next level there quickly.
Company stocks advance in price.
I mean, that is a massive population boost here right now, just with one product. And it's beautiful to see. And level 53 as well right away continues to grow.
Your global market
With the level 54, we also have an account limit now of 5 million, 5.5 million. By the way, we tripled our population to almost 300,000 now. I really don't want to import algae with the world market because it's super expensive. So what we're doing in Vidian Coves is reserving some of them for my algae production that we have, or that we need, right? Since we do have some coastal sites available here. And then get this one over to Water Bay. Of course, city expansion is not completed yet. We still also have here a nice road that goes all the way down into one of the outer districts now of Water Bay. This security station we can move a bit to get this triple road then over here. To have a whole new area here that we can develop now with another neighborhood. Let's just check it out. It's gonna be tight, I think, if we go like this. Should be able to make this work. And as always, these little empty spots we can also then fill in nicely with some decoration. Also a bus station. Now that I think about it, wait a second. Let's move the metro all the way over here so that the triple road actually leads then into my stadium. That's actually the second auction for Seaman International coming in like this, so might actually grab this as well to increase our influence there. Problem is someone is always pushing the price. There you go, dude. It's Seaman actually who's doing this. And let's actually get us a discount on that. There you go. So it was not 2.2 million in fact. It should have been less than that because we used the influence bonus to get 15% cut at the end of it. And out here, we're just gonna make some smaller buildings then. Actually, let's make it so that we can have a little garden then in the middle as well. In the meantime, we can continue once again with our sector project that is still ongoing.
Perfect. Except for the fact that the situation is now changed.
Maintain a production of titanium in Wildwater Bay. Yeah, for this we need to create our own trade route just for this single production. I think this is coming from the moon, right? And that would be that. We could also just get this one, 30. How much is 30? Is it a lot? 10,000? Yeah, let's do this. Just for the mission here, right? For 15 minutes. Well, that's out of the way. Nice one.
That's peachy. Let's see.
And next up we need to once again get the drones to a location, so this gets also a bit repetitive there. Another Seaman International. This time the share value went up quite a bit on this one, so let's also enter the race for this one. And 2.2 million, very nice. That gives me a bit of share. How much do we get in now? 10,000 out of company shares from others, right? And yeah, with that, improving also our influence in the agricultural industry. That can help us, definitely. Having gathered all items, we can also return once again.
Great job you did there. But unfortunately, that ain't the end.
The energy balance, that's a tricky one. We need 10,000 more electricity. Yeah, I will need to ramp up my fusion generation there once again. So far so good. Wildwater Bay continues to grow. I think it's looking really nice and it looks more and more like a truly big city. But of course, we're not there yet. And we continue onwards with the history of the city and the influence of Abstergo Industries. Yeah, probably by training astronauts. We haven't done that yet. That's a whole new sector to explore. Stay tuned.